I won millions in the lottery and decided not to tell anyone. I asked my family for help as a test. The ticket sat in my drawer for 3 days before I could process it. $8.4 million. After taxes, still enough to never worry again. I was 26, working 2 jobs, barely scraping by in a studio apartment with a broken heater. My first instinct was to call everyone I loved. Then I remembered last Thanksgiving. I'd asked to borrow $200 for car repairs so I could keep getting to work. My mom said times were tight, though she'd just posted photos of her weekend spa trip. My brother laughed and said I should learn to budget better. This from the guy who'd borrowed $3,000 from me for business expenses and never paid it back. My aunt suggested I get a 3rd job instead of asking for handouts. So I decided to run an experiment. I kept working my shifts at the diner and the overnight stock job. I wore the same worn-out clothes. I drove my dying car that made concerning noises every time I turned left, and I waited. 2 weeks after winning, my landlord raised my rent by $400. I called my mom, voice shaking with real desperation. "I don't know what to do," I said. "I'm going to lose my apartment." "Honey, have you tried making coffee at home instead of buying it?" she asked. Those little expenses add up. I hadn't bought coffee in 6 months. Next, I called my brother, told him I needed help with a security deposit for a cheaper place. "Can't help you, sis. Brittany and I are saving for a boat." "A boat?" My aunt suggested I move back home with mom. "You're clearly not ready for independent living." I was working 70 hours a week. The breaking point came when I got sick, really sick. Fever of 103, couldn't keep anything down, too weak to drive. I needed someone to take me to urgent care, just needed a ride. I called my mom first. She was hosting book club and didn't want to cancel. My brother was busy watching the game. My uncle said his car was acting up, though I'd seen him post about his new truck yesterday. My cousin said she would, but asked if I could Venmo her gas money first. I took an Uber to urgent care and cried the entire way. The driver, a grandmother named Delia, waited with me for 3 hours. She bought me crackers from the vending machine and held my hand when the IV went in. When I tried to pay her extra, she refused. "Family should do this," she said. "I'm sorry yours didn't show up." I went home, logged into my bank account, and stared at those numbers. All that money, all that security, and the people who were supposed to love me couldn't spare an hour or $20. That's when I made my decision. I quit both jobs, claiming I was moving across the country for a job opportunity. My family barely reacted. No one asked for details or offered to help me move. My mom just said, "Well, don't come crying to us when it doesn't work out." I bought a house in a nearby neighborhood, close enough to watch, far enough they'd never accidentally run into me. I started volunteering at the shelter where Delia worked. I began anonymously paying for people's groceries, medical bills, car repairs, all the things my family wouldn't help me with. 3 months passed. I heard through social media that my brother's boat dream had fallen through, that my mom was complaining about money, that my aunt's husband had lost his job. Then yesterday, my mom called. She never calls. "Honey, I need to ask you something," she said, voice strained. "Your father and I are in trouble. We need $15,000 or we'll lose the house." I sat in my paid-off home looking at my bank account. "I'm sorry," I said calmly. "Times are tight. Have you tried making coffee at home?" The silence on the other end was deafening. "This is serious," she said, anger creeping into her voice. "We're family. You help family." "You're right," I replied. "Family should help each other. Where was my family when I needed help?" "That was different. You were being irresponsible." "I'm going to make you an offer," I interrupted. "I'll tell you exactly how you can get that $15,000. But first, you need to know something." "What?" she snapped. 3 months ago, I won $8.4 million in the lottery. The line went so quiet I thought she'd hung up. "You what?" "I won the lottery. After taxes, I cleared just over $5 million. I could hear her breathing change, fast and shallow. "And you didn't tell us? Your own family?" "I ran a test," I said, my voice steady. "I wanted to see if anyone would help me when I had nothing, when I genuinely needed support." "That's manipulative, is it?" I cut her off. "More manipulative than telling your daughter to make coffee at home when she's about to be evicted? More manipulative than your son buying a boat while his sister can't afford a security deposit? We didn't know." "Exactly. You didn't know I had money, so you didn't care. But now that you know, I bet you suddenly remember what family means." Mom's voice cracked. "Please, we're going to lose everything. Do you remember when I called you from urgent care, when I had a 103-degree fever?" Silence. "You were hosting book club. You couldn't be bothered to cancel." A stranger, an Uber driver named Delia, sat with me for 3 hours. She held my hand when they put the IV in. She bought me crackers. She waited until I was discharged and made sure I got home safely. I didn't know it was that serious. "I told you it was serious. You just didn't care enough to listen." I heard my dad's voice in the background asking what was happening. "Here's my offer," I continued. "I'll give you a chance to earn that $15,000, but you have to do something for me first." "Anything," Mom said quickly. "I want you to go through your calendar. Find every time in the past year I asked for help. Every phone call, every text message. I want you to write down what you were doing instead. What was more important than helping your daughter." "That's ridiculous." "Then I guess you're not getting the money." More silence. "Fine," she said through gritted teeth. "But you'll give us the money after?" "We'll see. I'll call you in 3 days. That should be enough time." I hung up before she could respond. My phone immediately started blowing up. My brother, my aunt, my uncle, my cousin. All of them suddenly very concerned about my well-being. All of them wanting to catch up. I blocked every single one, except my mom. I needed to see what she'd come up with. 3 days later, my phone rang at exactly 9 a.m. "I did what you asked," Mom said. Her voice sounded tired. "And? I found 12 times you asked for help." 13, I corrected. "You forgot when I asked to borrow your car for a job interview because mine had finally died." A pause. "You're right. 13. Read them to me." "Do I have to?" "Yes." She sighed. I heard paper rustling. "January 15th. You asked to borrow $200 for car repairs." I was planning a spa weekend with Linda and Carol. I said money was tight. That spa weekend cost $800. I saw the photos. Continue. "February 3rd. You needed help moving your belongings to a cheaper apartment." I was getting my nails done and said I had plans. The appointment you could have rescheduled. Next. Her voice started to shake. February 28th. You asked if you could come over for dinner because you hadn't eaten a real meal in days. I said we weren't home, but your father and I were just watching TV. I said nothing. Let her sit with it. March 12th. You needed a ride to a job interview. I said my car was acting up, but I drove it to book club that same afternoon. Keep going. April 6th. You asked to borrow $50 for groceries. I said I didn't have it, but I just bought a new purse for $300. My chest tightened, but I kept my voice level. Continue. May 2nd. You asked if I could co-sign an apartment lease because your credit wasn't good enough. I said it was too much risk, but I just co-signed for your brother's boat loan the week before. The boat he never bought. Yes, keep reading. She went through all 13 instances. Every birthday she'd missed because she was busy. Every time I'd needed advice and she'd been too distracted. Every moment I'd reached out and been turned away. By the end, she was crying. Are you satisfied now? She asked. You've humiliated me, made me confront what a terrible mother I've been. Have you? I asked quietly. What? Confronted it. Really confronted it. Or are you just reading words off a page to get money? Of course I've confronted it. Writing this down, seeing it all listed out. I had no idea. You had every idea. You just didn't care. That's not fair. What's not fair? I said, my voice rising for the first time, is that I worked 70 hours a week and still couldn't afford to eat. What's not fair is that I got sick and nobody came. What's not fair is that a stranger showed me more love in 3 hours than my own family showed me in a year. Mom was crying harder now. Please, I know I failed you. I know I was selfish, but please, we need help. Why should I help you? Because I'm your mother. And what does that mean to you? Because from where I'm sitting, being my mother meant absolutely nothing when I needed you. I'll do better, she sobbed. I swear I'll do better, just please. I looked around my living room, at the comfortable couch I'd bought, at the paintings on the wall from local artists I'd supported, at the life I'd built without them. No, I said simply. What? No, I'm not giving you the money. But I did what you asked. You did the bare minimum. You read a list. You cried. But you know what you didn't do? You didn't apologize. Not really. You didn't take actual responsibility. You're only sorry because now you need me. That's not true, isn't it? 3 months ago, I told you I was moving away. You didn't ask where. Didn't offer to help pack. Didn't even say you'd miss me. The only reason you called now is because you need money. Please, she whispered. We'll lose the house. Then lose it. I lost my apartment. I lost my sense of security. I lost my family, and I survived. How can you be so cruel? I laughed. Actually laughed. I'm being cruel? I'm not the one who chose a book club over my sick daughter. I'm not the one who valued a spa weekend over helping with car repairs. I'm not the one who made her child feel worthless. I never meant to make you feel, but you did. For years, you made me feel like I was the problem, like I was irresponsible and needy and too much. But you know what? I wasn't any of those things. I was just a daughter who needed her mother. Silence on the other end, the kind that feels heavy. Where do we go from here? She finally asked. I don't know. That's up to you. What do you mean? I mean that I'm done begging for scraps of affection from people who should love me unconditionally. I'm done proving my worth to people who should see it automatically. If you want a relationship with me, you're going to have to earn it. And it's going to take a lot more than a list and some tears. What do? Start by figuring out why you treated me that way. Go to therapy, do the work, actually change. And maybe someday we can talk again. And the house? Figure it out. Downsize. Get second jobs. Do all the things you suggested I do when I was struggling. That's cold. That's reality. Welcome to the world I've been living in. I hung up. My phone stayed silent for exactly 10 minutes before my brother called. What the hell is wrong with you? He shouted before I could say hello. Mom just called me crying. You really won the lottery and didn't tell anyone? Hi Brandon, how are you? I'm doing great, thanks for asking. This isn't funny. Mom and Dad are in trouble and you're being a selfish bitch. Interesting, I said calmly. When I was in trouble, what were you doing? That was different. How? Explain to me exactly how it was different. You were just being dramatic about money stuff. Mom and Dad could actually lose their house. I actually lost my apartment. I actually went hungry. I actually had to choose between gas money and groceries. But sure, I was being dramatic. You should have managed your money better. You borrowed $3,000 from me and never paid it back. Want to talk about money management? He sputtered. That was for business. No, it was for a mountain bike and a trip to Vegas. Don't insult me by lying now. Fine, you're right, I should have paid you back. I'm sorry. Are you happy? Now help Mom and Dad. Your apology means nothing when it's attached to a demand for money. What do you want me to say? Nothing. I don't want anything from you. I just want you to leave me alone. We're family. Family helps each other. I interrupted. Family shows up. Family doesn't laugh at you when you're struggling and then demand help when they're in trouble. You're not my family. You're just people I'm related to. You can't mean that. I do, and until you understand why I mean it, we have nothing to talk about. I hung up and blocked his number too. The calls kept coming. My aunt left a voicemail calling me ungrateful. My uncle sent a text about family loyalty. My cousin posted a vague Facebook status about people who forget where they came from. I deleted everything. That evening, Delia called. We'd stayed in touch after that night in urgent care. She'd become more of a mother to me in 3 months than my actual mom had been in years. How are you holding up? She asked. I told them. About the money? Yeah. Mom called asking for $15,000. So I told her I won the lottery and that I'd been testing them. Delia was quiet for a moment. How did that feel? Scary. Satisfying. Sad. All of it at once. That sounds about right. Was I wrong to do it? The test? Baby girl, Delia said gently. You didn't test them. You just existed in need, and they failed you. All you did was notice. I felt tears prick my eyes. They keep saying I'm being cruel. The truth often feels cruel to people who've been avoiding it. My brother called me a selfish bitch. People who've never been desperate don't understand survival. They think you're supposed to rescue them because they never learned to rescue themselves. I feel guilty. Of course you do. You were raised to put their needs above yours. That programming doesn't disappear overnight. What if I'm making a mistake? What if I regret this? Then you'll regret it, but you'll regret it in your paid-off house, with your financial security, and with the knowledge that you stood up for yourself. That's not nothing. She was right. I knew she was right. Want to come over for dinner? She asked. My daughter's coming with her kids. Real family dinner. I'd love that. Good. Come hungry. I'm making my grandmother's recipe. After we hung up, I sat in my living room for a long time. My phone kept buzzing with messages from relatives I hadn't heard from in months. All of them suddenly very interested in my life. I turned my phone off completely. The next day, I went to the shelter where Delia and I volunteered. A young woman came in with 2 kids. She had that look I recognized. Exhausted, scared, trying to hold it together. I helped her get set up with temporary housing, helped her fill out job applications, paid for a month's worth of groceries and a new work outfit. The whole time, she kept thanking me with tears in her eyes. Someone helped me once when I needed it. I told her, I'm just passing it forward. That afternoon, my phone rang from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Hello? Hi, is this the woman who helped Tessa yesterday? Who is this? My name is Patricia. I run the community center on 5th Street. Tessa's sister told me what you did for her. I was wondering if we could talk. About what? We serve a lot of families in crisis. Single parents, people who've lost jobs, folks dealing with medical emergencies. We do what we can, but funding is always tight. I heard you might be interested in helping more people. I smiled. Tell me what you need. Patricia and I met that evening. She showed me the center, a converted church basement with peeling paint and outdated equipment. But it was filled with people, kids doing homework, adults and job training classes, a food pantry that was barely stocked. We serve about 200 families a month, Patricia said. But we could help so many more if we had better resources. New computers for the job center, a proper kitchen for the food program, childcare so parents can actually attend our classes. How much would all that cost? She handed me a folder. I put together a wish list. Just dreams, really. We never have money for dreams. I looked through the plans. New equipment, building repairs, program expansions, all of it totaling just under $100,000. I'll fund it, I said. All of it. Patricia stared at me. What? I'll fund your renovations and programs. All of it. Under one condition. Her face fell. What condition? Everything stays anonymous. My name doesn't go on anything. No plaques, no credit, nothing. I'm just another donor. That's it? That's it. She started crying. Why? Why would you do this? Because I know what it's like to need help and not get it. And I know what it's like when one person shows up and changes everything. I'm just trying to be that person for someone else. The next few weeks were a blur. I funded the community center, set up a scholarship fund at the local college, paid off medical debt for 3 families dealing with cancer treatments, started a program that provided work clothes and transportation money for people trying to get back on their feet. All of it anonymous. All of it in memory of that night when Delia held my hand in urgent care. My family kept trying to reach me. Letters showed up at my old apartment, forwarded by the building manager I'd tipped generously on my way out. Messages left with the diner where I used to work. Even a few attempts at showing up at places I used to frequent. But I disappeared from their world, built a new life where they couldn't find me. One evening, about 6 weeks after telling Mom about the lottery, Delia invited me over. Her daughter was there with her family. They welcomed me like I'd always been part of their family. During dinner, Delia's grandson, a kid about 8 years old named Timothy, asked me a question. Miss, are you sad you don't have a family? The table went quiet. Delia's daughter looked mortified, but I smiled at Timothy. I have a family. Your grandma and all of you. Sometimes the family you choose is better than the family you're born with. He nodded seriously. That makes sense. My best friend's family is kind of mean to him. I told him he could share mine. That's very kind of you. Grandma says being kind costs nothing but means everything. I looked at Delia, who smiled at me with tears in her eyes. After dinner, as I was helping wash dishes, Delia pulled me aside. My daughter asked me to ask you something, but feel free to say no. What is it? Timothy's birthday is next month. He wants to invite you. Says you're part of the family now. My throat tightened. I'd be honored. Good, because I already told him you'd come. I knew you'd say yes. That night, driving home to my quiet house, I realized something. I wasn't sad. For the first time in my adult life, I wasn't carrying the weight of trying to be enough for people who would never think I was. I was free. 2 months after the phone call with Mom, I got a letter. Actual handwritten letter sent to the community center where I volunteered. Patricia brought it to me with a curious expression. This came for you. Return address is from your mom. I almost threw it away, but curiosity won. I opened it alone in my car. Dear daughter, I don't know if you'll read this. I don't know if I deserve for you to read this, but I'm writing it anyway. You were right about everything. I've been going to therapy twice a week since our call. Dr. Richardson is helping me understand why I treated you the way I did, why I prioritized my comfort over your needs, why I made you feel small. The answer is ugly. I was jealous. You worked hard. You pushed through. You never gave up even when everything was falling apart. And I took the easy path. I married your father for security. I never pursued my dreams. I never took risks. And watching you struggle reminded me of my own cowardice. It was easier to pretend you were irresponsible than to face the fact that you were braver than I ever was. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not asking for money. I'm just asking you to know that I see you now. I see what I missed. I see what I lost. We lost the house. Your father and I are renting a small apartment. He had to take a job that pays less. We're learning to live within our means. It's hard, but I'm finally understanding what you went through. Your brother is in therapy too. His marriage is falling apart. Brittany left him. He's broke and humbled and finally starting to understand what he put you through. I'm not telling you this to manipulate you. I'm telling you because you deserve to know that your words didn't fall on deaf ears. You changed us. You changed me. I love you. I don't know if that means anything to you anymore, but I wanted you to know. Mom, I sat in my car, holding that letter, crying. Not because I felt guilty, not because I regretted anything, but because I was grieving the mother I wish I'd had all along. The mother who finally showed up, but only after I'd stopped waiting. I kept the letter, folded it carefully, and put it in a box in my closet. Maybe someday I'd respond. Maybe someday I'd be ready to let them back in. But not today. Today, I had a birthday party to plan for Timothy. Today, I had families to help at the community center. Today, I had a life that I built, that I loved, that was mine. 3 months later, I was at the grocery store when I saw him, my brother. He looked different, thinner, tired, wearing clothes that had seen better days. He was counting change at the register, coming up short for his groceries. I watched from the next aisle. The cashier was patient, but the people in line behind him were getting annoyed. Brandon looked embarrassed, frantically checking his pockets for more money. I had a choice to make. Part of me wanted to walk over, pay for his groceries, and show him what kindness looked like. Part of me wanted to walk away and let him figure it out, the way I'd had to figure everything out alone. I stood there, frozen, remembering every time he'd laughed at my struggles. Then I remembered what Delia had taught me. Being kind doesn't mean being a doormat. It means having boundaries and keeping them. I walked up to the register. Brandon saw me and his eyes widened. Hey, how much is he short? I asked the cashier. $8.47, ma'am. I pulled out a 10 and handed it to her. Keep the change. Then I looked at Brandon, really looked at him. This isn't for you, I said quietly. It's for the person I'm choosing to be. Someone who helps people in need, even when they don't deserve it. His face crumpled. I'm so sorry for everything. I've been such an idiot. Yes, you have. I picked up my basket. I hope you figure things out, Brandon. I really do. But I can't be part of that journey. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Can we at least talk? About what? About how you're sorry now that you need help? About how you finally understand now that you're struggling? I know I don't deserve. You're right. You don't. So do what I did. Survive, learn, grow. And maybe, if you actually change, we can talk someday. I walked away before he could respond. My hands were shaking as I loaded groceries into my car. Not from anger, from the weight of choosing myself first. That evening, I told Delia what happened. You paid for his groceries, she said. That was kind, but I didn't forgive him. Kindness and forgiveness aren't the same thing, baby. You can choose to be kind and still protect yourself. It felt cold, walking away like that. Cold would have been letting him struggle without helping. What you did was boundaried. There's a difference. I don't know if I'll ever be ready to let them back in. Then don't. Or do. Either way, it's your choice now, not theirs. She was right. For the first time in my life, it was my choice. 6 months after the lottery win, I established the Delia Foundation, named after the woman who showed me what family really meant. It funded emergency assistance for people in crisis. Medical bills, rent, car repairs, all the things that broke me when I had no one. The foundation was structured so recipients never knew where the money came from. Just like Delia never made me feel small for needing help, the foundation never made people feel like charity cases. Applications came in daily. Single mothers working 3 jobs, people dealing with medical emergencies, families choosing between rent and food. Every time I approved a grant, I thought about my family, about how easily they could have helped me, about how their small actions could have changed everything. And every time, I felt grateful that their rejection pushed me to create something bigger than any of them could imagine. A year after winning, Patricia called me into her office at the community center. We need to talk, she said, looking serious. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong, but I know who you are. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? I mean, I know you're the lottery winner, the one who's been funding everything, the scholarships, the building renovations, the family assistance. It's all you. How did you find out? Paper trail. I'm good at my job. She smiled. Don't worry, your secret's safe, but I need you to know something. What? You've changed this community. In 1 year, you've helped 346 families. You've kept people in their homes. You've given kids a chance at college. You've literally saved lives. And I know why you do it. I know about your family, about the test, about everything. I felt exposed, vulnerable. I'm not judging you, Patricia continued. I'm thanking you, because whatever pain pushed you to this, whatever hurt you're healing from, you've turned it into something beautiful. I felt tears forming. I just didn't want anyone else to feel alone the way I did, and they won't, because of you. That night, I got a text from an unknown number. This is Mom. I got your number from Delia. She said you gave it to her in case of emergencies. This isn't an emergency. I just wanted you to know that I saw what you did. The foundation, the community center, all of it. I'm proud of you. Not because of the money, but because you took your pain and created something good. That takes a kind of strength I never had. I'm not asking for anything. Just wanted you to know. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed back. Thank you. 2 words. Simple, but enough. Because maybe healing doesn't mean reconciliation. Maybe it means reaching a place where you can acknowledge someone without letting them back in. Maybe it means choosing peace over justice, even when justice is deserved. Or maybe it just means finally being okay with the life you built from the ashes of the one that burned down. Timothy's birthday party was everything an 8-year-old could want. Laser tag, pizza, a cake shaped like a dinosaur. I watched Delia's family celebrate, watched Timothy blow out his candles, watched a family choose joy together. Make a wish, everyone shouted. Timothy closed his eyes tight. thinking hard. When he opened them, he looked right at me and smiled. Later, after most of the guests had left, he came and sat next to me. What did you wish for? I asked. Can't tell you. It won't come true. That's the rule, huh? Yep. He swung his legs, not quite reaching the floor from the chair. Miss? Yeah, buddy? Grandma told me your family wasn't nice to you. That's why you don't see them. She told you that? She said I should be extra nice to you because you didn't always have people being nice. My chest tightened. Your grandma is very wise. I know. He paused. I wished for you to be happy. That's not telling, right? Because it's not for me. I pulled him into a hug, unable to speak around the lump in my throat. I'm happy, Timothy. I promise. And for the first time in my life, it was true. 2 years after the lottery win, I was living my life fully. The foundation was thriving. I'd gone back to school to study social work. I'd even started dating someone, a teacher named Christopher who volunteered at the community center. My biological family had respected my boundaries. Mom sent occasional updates, never asking for anything. Brandon sent a check for $3,000, paying back what he owed with interest. My aunt had written an actual apology letter that seemed genuine, but I still kept my distance. Then one afternoon, I got a call from a hospital. Is this Delia Wilson's emergency contact? My blood went cold. Yes. What happened? Ms. Wilson collapsed during her shift at the community center. She's had a stroke. She's asking for you. I made it to the hospital in 15 minutes. Delia looked small in the hospital bed, half her face drooping, her speech slurred, but she smiled when she saw me. There's my girl, she managed. I took her hand. I'm here. I'm right here. Scared, she whispered. I know, but you're strong. You're going to be okay. Need to tell you something. Save your energy. No, important. She squeezed my hand with surprising strength. You saved me too. What? After my husband died, I was lost, going through motions. Then that night, holding your hand in urgent care, seeing your pain, I remembered what mattered. You gave me purpose again. Delia, we saved each other, baby girl. Don't forget that. She closed her eyes, exhausted. I sat with her through the night, holding her hand the way she'd once held mine. Her daughter came with her family. We took shifts, making sure she was never alone. During one of my shifts around 3 a.m., I noticed something. A family in the waiting room. A young couple with a sick child. They looked terrified, exhausted, broke. I walked over. Excuse me, are you waiting for news about your child? They nodded, wary. The coffee here is terrible, I said. And the vending machines are worse. Have you eaten? We're okay, the father said quickly. I'm going to the cafeteria. Let me bring you something back. No arguments. I came back with sandwiches, real coffee from the Starbucks across the street, and snacks. The mother started crying when I handed it to her. Thank you, she whispered. We've been here for 2 days. We ran out of money. I know what that's like, I said. Is there anything else you need? That's how Delia found me when she woke up, helping another family in crisis. Still at it, she said, her speech slightly better. Learned from the best. She recovered slowly. Physical therapy, speech therapy, relearning how to do basic things. I was there through all of it, the way she'd been there for me. 3 months into her recovery, she looked at me seriously. I need to ask you something. Anything. If something happens to me, nothing's going to happen. Listen, if something happens, my daughter gets the house and my saving, but there's something else I want you to have. She handed me a small box. Inside was a photo. Delia and her husband, young and in love. On the back, written in faded ink, family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's the people who show up. He used to say that, Delia explained, when we took in foster kids, when we helped neighbors, when we chose love over obligation. I can't take this. You already have, baby. You've been living it. This is just a reminder. I hugged her carefully, mindful of her still healing body. Thank you for saving me, I whispered. Thank you for letting me. 4 years after the lottery win, I was leaving the community center when someone called my name. I turned to find my mom standing there. She looked older, tired, but there was something different in her eyes. I'm not here to ask for anything, she said quickly. I volunteer here now, at the center. I've been coming for 6 months. You what? Patricia told me about the work you're doing. Not that you're funding it. She kept that secret. But she told me about the impact, about the families you're helping. I wanted to be part of it. Why? Because I'm trying to understand, trying to see the world the way you saw it when you needed help, and no one came. We stood in awkward silence. I don't expect anything, Mom continued. I don't expect forgiveness or reconciliation or even acknowledgement. I just wanted you to know that I'm trying, really trying. Good, I said simply. Good? Yeah, good. I'm glad you're trying. I'm glad you're helping people. That's what matters. Does this mean? It doesn't mean anything yet, I interrupted gently. But maybe someday it could. Maybe. She nodded, accepting. That's more than I deserve, probably. But we all deserve chances to grow. I'm just not ready to be part of your growth yet. I understand. As she walked away, I felt something shift. Not forgiveness, not quite, but the beginning of something. The possibility that people can change. That hurt doesn't have to be permanent. That maybe, just maybe, there's a difference between protecting yourself and punishing others forever. I walked to my car and sat for a moment, processing everything. My phone buzzed. A text from Christopher. Dinner tonight? I'm cooking. I smiled and texted back. Sounds perfect. I'll bring dessert. Another text, this one from Timothy. Miss, I got an A on my science project. Grandma says you can come to the presentation. And another from Patricia. New family needs help. Emergency fund. I'll send details. I looked at my phone, at this life I'd built, at these people who chose me as much as I chose them. The lottery win had given me money, but the test, the painful necessary test, had given me something more valuable. It gave me clarity. It gave me boundaries. It gave me the freedom to build a life on my own terms, surrounded by people who showed up not because they had to, but because they wanted to. And in the end, that was worth more than any dollar amount. I started my car and headed home, ready for dinner with someone who loved me, ready to help another family in need, ready for whatever came next, because I wasn't waiting for anyone to save me anymore. I'd already saved myself, and that made all the difference.